Today we're talking about an AEW ROH announcement. Also, we got to talk about Forbidden Door. There's been more matches added to the card, an already long pay-per-view getting even longer with this reveal. And then, of course, we got to talk about more AEW injuries. Guys, what is the solution to this? If you want more videos like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button. With that being said, we're going to jump into it. Jungle Boy, one of the four pillars of AEW, has been reportedly injured. According to Dave Meltzer, Jungle Boy, who recently started a new feud with Christian Cage, is reportedly going to be out for some time. There's no word on the nature or the severity of the injury or a timetable, but he is expected to be out of action. Now, with that being said, Jungle Boy joins this big list of pro wrestlers who are currently injured. Just for those who are unaware of who is injured in AEW, let me remind you that CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Anthony Bowens, The Bunny, Red Velvet, Darius Martin, Kenny Omega, Buddy Matthews, and Sky Blue are all currently out of action. If you look at WWE, obviously Cody Rhodes is out of action for the next several months. And of course, we don't know exactly what is happening with Randy Orton, and Aaliyah and several others are also injured in the WWE. So this is a very, very chaotic time for pro wrestling. I think the injuries definitely add a lot of, it adds a lot of intrigue to what's happened here. And I say that because when you look at AEW Forbidden Door, Tony Khan has already openly admitted that injuries and backstage politics have already caused some issues for this card. However, I'm actually on record saying that regardless, this card is probably going to over-deliver despite the lack of a proper build. And sometimes that's when WWE does really well too, right? I think WWE sometimes has really good pay-per-views despite the build being really bad. So I think AEW and New Japan are kind of in the same boat. Obviously, injuries are going to hurt a little bit, but really what it comes down to is what is the solution here? AEW doesn't have a live event schedule, so they are only wrestling, on a weekly basis once or twice if they're doing double duty between Dynamite and Rampage, which most of the time isn't necessarily the case. Darius Martin, he was injured, but he's been injured for a while, and that was actually due to a car accident as well, so that has nothing to do with wrestling. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think the solution may be. Obviously, WWE has a way heavier schedule. AEW has a lighter schedule, and both companies are plagued by injuries. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about the AEW Forbidden Door pay-per-view because AEW has announced 2 more matches for the buy-in show. So if you guys are interested in the buy-in show, obviously it's going to be live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all the other social media platforms. This is AEW's chance to show people what they can do with New Japan. And this is going to be a lot of, for a lot of people, it's going to be their first look at the Forbidden Door set and the arena and everything. With that being said, Max Caster and Gun Club, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn will take on LA Dojo. Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto will face off against Aaron Solo and QT Marshall from the Nightmare Factory. And then Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Kanemaru and El Desperado in a tag team match. Now, here's the thing. This has gotten to a point where this card is so stacked. And if we count up the matches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 matches for this card. This will be more than likely with the pre-show or the buy-in show. It's probably going to be a 5-6 hour pay-per-view. It's going to be a long pay-per-view. This is going to be an incredibly big, long pay-per-view. A lot of action. And I have to admit, when you look at some of the matches that have been thrown together, it doesn't make sense, right? But AEW and New Japan, from the athleticism side, all of these guys, despite the fact that they may not be the biggest names, whatever it may be, I think every match will probably deliver. The only match that really makes me questionable is Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa, just because that's AEW versus AEW. And I just get a really strong feeling that AEW is going to give the title to Toni Storm, which I think could be a very, very big mistake, but it is what it is. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Please let me know what you guys think of this Forbidden Door buy-in show. 3 matches, obviously not a ton of notable names. Keith Lee and Swerve being added is very interesting. I think this might be the start of their official split, but we'll find out. So let me know. Guys, I want to turn our attention to the AEW and ROH announcement. So there's been some news and some rumors brewing for a minute now that AEW and Tony Khan and ROH and everybody was expected to jump on this announcement at some point. Now it appears that PW Insider has come out that the word making the rounds is that an announcement on what will be the next Ring of Honor event should be coming in the next few days. So AEW and ROH obviously are sharing talent on the Dynamite and Rampage show. We already saw that randomly, TBE, Tully Blanchard Enterprises, is back on AEW television. We obviously saw John Gresham and Lee Moriarty teaming up. And I think the reason for this is because AEW and ROH right now, as of right now, will just be on the AEW show for the foreseeable future. I believe that the TV talks or whatever it may be is not ready. I expect television for ROH to start around fall 2022. I'm thinking October or September would probably make the most sense. Now, with that being said, the next ROH event should be coming in the next few days. What does this mean? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that AEW is preparing for this. Clearly, if you watch the AEW Rampage this past weekend, having so many ROH talent on that show, I think it is very clear that AEW is looking to build some momentum now for that pay-per-view. And this is where things get a little bit chaotic because technically ROH is a separate company, but this separate company is using AEW to catapult its growth. And obviously, when you look at AEW in New Japan, that is happening right now. I think it's gotten to a point where AEW and ROH, it's confusing for a lot of people. And until ROH is actually on TV, I don't see it getting better. I'm not mad about John Gresham and Lee Moriarty teaming. I'm not mad about Brian Cage being on AEW, but it's kind of like Samoa Joe, right? Samoa Joe is the ROH TV champion, but what is he really doing? You know what I mean? Like, they're not really doing much with him, and you're still telling the story with Satnam Singh, and it's just like there's very little momentum here. And I think that's the problem. So I think once ROH actually has a television deal in place and they're doing weekly television, ROH will be in good hands. But until then, I think it's going to be very confusing and chaotic for the foreseeable future. Now, with ROH and AEW having this announcement soon, I expect Satnam Singh versus Samoa Joe. I expect Lee Moriarty in some capacity having a match. I expect, FTR having to defend those championship belts. Maybe FTR wins the NJPW, the IWGP tag team belts at Forbidden Door, and then perhaps maybe, FTR drop the belts to Tully Blanchard Enterprises, right? There's a lot of possibilities here. So I think this new event that is being announced is going to be the actual changeover transition to the ROH brand. So like if Samoa Joe drops the belt, I would assume whoever wins that belt will probably be the champion going into ROH TV. This will be more of a transitional show than Supercard of Honor. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time.